What is up, everybody? We are back. The Crispy Papa Bear Show. He is,
Papa Bear.
I am Crispy Papa. So we are two fat, that is a Phat, fat Filipinos. Used to be in middle management, but now is kind of iffy.
And we're
And
here to talk about crap
we're here
and
to talk
everything
about
else in between.
ourselves
Yes, just for today.
just for
Okay.
today. So,
Yes.
Papa Bear, take control, man.
So to start off with our inaugural show, um, would like to introduce ourselves. I'm gonna start off. My name is Papa Bear, but you can actually refer to me as Leandro Manuel Cientazo or Leo. Okay, I have no problem revealing my identity. I have no secret identity. I think of myself as either one of the Fantastic Four or Iron Man, Tony Stark. Okay. They don't have secret identities. Anyway, so I used to be in middle management like my brother Crispy Papa. I've been in the call center industry for a little over 18 years. I've also worked as a virtual assistant, but I am currently unemployed and looking for a job. I have several hobbies. I like to collect action figures. I also like to write, and I'm 44 years old. So yeah, just think about that for a minute. And I'm not particularly good looking. I know I'm fat, which is why we're both PHAT Filipinos talking here. Um, also, just for a bit of background, working in the call center, I'm actually used to speaking in English as well as my brother, so we'll be conducting most of our talks in English. All right. And just to give everybody else a brief background, we've already recorded some shows. So most of the things that you'll be watching on this channel will actually be retroactive. Okay, meaning to say we did some recordings from over like a year ago and we'll be posting it soon, but we will be providing you guys with new content and possibly some live streams every now and then. Okay, so I'm just your 44-year-old diabetic. Oh, by the way, I also only have one leg. Details of that will come soon after, but I am essentially a PWD. I don't leave my apartment. And if you're asking how that's possible, well, I have my girlfriend to thank for that and everybody else in my community. Okay, so I'm going to hand it over to Crispy Papa to introduce himself.
So, what is up, guys? Uh, my name is Crispy Papa. I am not as brave as Papa Bear. I am terrified of identity theft. However, I'm not gonna share my name. Y'all can call me Crispy Papa. I am a very private person. I barely post in my Facebook account. I am 35 years old. I will be 36 in 2 plus months. Um, just like him, I am PHAT, as you can tell. I am 6'1" and I am 155 kilograms. You guys can just convert that into whatever unit of measurement you want. But I have almost 15 years of experience in the BPO slash call center world. We are going to talk about BPOs and call centers in some of our episodes here. As Papa Bear already said, this is kind of like a retroactive introduction. We are recording this March 1st, 2025, and we have been recording since like February 2023, at least. Would you say? We have like a lot, a lot of content in long form. And this will be our inaugural episode, just so you guys know who we are and why maybe you should listen to us. Um, like what Papa Bear said, I am still kinda in middle management. I don't work for a call center anymore, and I haven't in almost 4 years. Yeah. Uh, I also have freelancing um, experience. Not a VA. Well, I do have a VA background. I did it for like a month. Not for me. Didn't do it again. Uh, what else? I am in training as well as Papa Bear. That's actually how we met. We met at uh, a common employer. Fun fact: we have known each other for almost 4 years, and we have never seen each other face to face.
Oh, true that. Yeah.
And it's a fascinating tale of two people that are uh, not exactly at home. Well, at least for my case, I do not like working in office. I can do everything my job requires using this laptop. Well, I'm not using a laptop, but the laptop in front of me, which is company issued. But yeah, actually, I've been working from home for like 2 months already. But that's a different issue, and you will hear about it. Funnily enough, uh, that is me. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask them in the comment section. If it's not too personal, I will answer it, and I'm sure Papa Bear will answer even personal questions.
Yeah, I'll be happy to do that for at least the viewers. Hopefully we get this. Hopefully we get a lot of viewers. But
Hopefully.
in having to start off our inaugural show, or at least our inaugural episode, I'd like to ask some questions too, and I've also asked my brother Chrissy Papa to also ask some questions, at least something that will allow you guys to get to know us a little bit more. So my first question is, I think people are dying to know, what's with the nicknames? Okay, why are you called Crispy Papa? Aside from the freaking obvious nature of the term.
Okay. So, I mean, there's two reasons for it. Number one is like the allegory of the name Crispy Papa with the food that is crispy pata, and the fact that I'm fat. And this time, not PHAT, it's just FAT fat. By the way, just like Papa Bear, I am also diabetic. And I'm trying to remember the date. I want to say it's 2014 ish. Uh, and my brother and my cousin and I are drinking at home as we do during that time. And my cousin, his nickname, he's before he is an avid fan of I'm not sure of the radio station or even the name of the show, but it's Papa Jack. I think it's like confession something. I'm
Oh
not sure.
yeah, I
So
actually heard that. You know,
yeah,
somebody actually
yeah,
referred to me as Papa Jack before. I don't know why.
yeah. Ew.
Uh,
By the way, you guys will see us vaping throughout this episodes and future episodes. That's just who we are. So going back to my story, um, so just for kicks, uh, my brother, myself, and my cousin decided to give ourselves nicknames. My cousin became uh, Papa Bro. My brother became Mr. Papa Mo, and I'm Crispy Papa because I am Crispy Papa. How about you, man? What's up with the Papa Bear thing?
okay. So Papa Bear actually came out in 2003, because in 2003 I just already graduated from college.
I just
And
graduated elementary.
yeah, thank you. Anyway, so I joined the flag football team of my school. It was just an activity, since I like to be active back then, and in our team there was already a guy. There were already several guys named Leo or Leo. So And sometimes when we play uh, football, I would mistake my assignment for the other guy who was named Leo. So it was a little bit confusing. And so what I did, since they told me that you can put any nickname on the back of your jersey back then, which is still a practice held today by the flag football community. Shout out, by the way, to PAFL and every flag football player out there. Shout out. What happened was, um, I was thinking of something to put on the back of my jersey, right? And I always liked bears. I was actually thinking of putting something like Bear Man or Bear Dude. However, when I was going to the gym, and this is a shout out to one of my oldest friends back in school. Shout out to Jerome Olot Lapitan. He actually gave me this nickname because whenever we were working at the gym in school, he would that guy. I mean, as wonderful as that guy is, he's also a dick. Okay, imagine bench pressing like 200 pounds back then. Okay, he would come in and he would shout, "Papa Bear in the house." Okay, or Papa Bear pumping iron, or Papa Bear doing squats. And he would shout that. He would shout, "Papa Bear," every time I'd be working out. Okay, and you can imagine, okay, that breaks your freaking concentration. You're trying to lift 200 pounds in the fucking bench press. Somebody does that. I fucking start laughing. Okay, and I end up failing, and I end up screaming to some of my friends in the gym, "Hey guys, help, please. I can't. I'm laughing." All right. That was like a dick move. Right. And he did that for like well over a dozen times. So, but it
That's
sort of
not just
stuck.
a dick move, though.
Yeah,
That's a
I know.
very dangerous thing. You don't have a spotter doing 200 bench
I
press,
no, I didn't because
but
it was
still,
okay. I was okay with it, right? I could still press that much, but it sort of stuck. So I said, you know what? Let's put that on my jersey. So I put it on my jersey 2004 moving onwards, and it sort of stuck. I carried that name when I started working for the BPO. Back then it was known as Sykes. Shout out to my Sykes peeps, which is now called Found Ever because it was bought out by Sitel. Shout out to my Sykes friends. All right, but that was it. That was how Papa Bear came out, and it stuck with me even now. Yeah. See,
dang.
there you go.
But
So I'd like you to ask me a question now, buddy.
but first, let me tell you, benching 200 without a spotter is insane. Uh, half my life ago, more than half my life ago at this point, I was in the best shape of my life. The heaviest I can bench is 125 or
Are we
130.
talking about kilos or pounds? Because it was
This is
200
pounds.
pounds. Okay.
This is pounds. I suck at bench pressing. I'm killing it in uh, squats though, but bench press like just nah, not for me, bro. So I have a question for you. Uh, for everybody to know, this dude is 5 feet 11 inches tall. He is barely 2 inches shorter than I am. And since I was a kid, I have been bothered by people telling me to play basketball. And I did. And I played basketball for a long time. I don't play now, but I did it on a pretty high level. My question, Papa Bear, why not basketball? Why football?
Okay. um, because when I reached the peak of my height, it was only 5'11", and I wasn't really that interested in basketball. Because, well, I mean, I played pickup games every now and then, and I was a huge fan of the Chicago Bulls in the mid '90s. But it wasn't really something that I aspired to be. Okay, and then when I found football, because back then when we were playing football, which was 9 on 9, it was, believe it or not, it was actually co-ed, and it was co-ed, but there was blocking involved. Meaning to say, I can run down the field and I can block for someone. Why football and not basketball? Okay. Well, because in basketball, if you foul someone, okay, if you foul someone, everybody boos and the game stops. All right. In football, as opposed to basketball, if I hit someone as hard as I can and they go down, the crowd cheers or my team cheered, like, hey, nice hit, nice block. All right. So I think that's what led me to the sport because um, back then it was we just played for fun. Hell, we paid to play. All right. And it was a good feeling it was a good feeling not only to get hit, but also to hit someone and then help them up, give them a hug, say everything's good. Right. It it was very cathartic, knowing that it wasn't particularly violence per se, but the hits can be pretty violent and it made quite a spectacle. And because I also loved watching the NFL at that time. As a matter of fact, before 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 the Patriots started to win, I was a huge fan of the Rams, the greatest show on turf back then. I mean, every time I could catch ESPN or whatever network they were on, I mean, I'd watch. So yeah, I like the physicality of football, from flag football, and then when I also played tackle football in the mid 2010s, like 2015 onwards until 2019, it was something that I've always liked. Okay, now I'm going to throw that question back to you because my brother actually spent some time in Saipan and played as a center and was one of the highly touted high school players back in the day. Okay, so throwing that question back to you, why basketball as opposed to football when you can actually gain a lot of fame playing football? You have the right body type for it with regard to being either on the defensive end or the offensive line. Why basketball?
Well, by the way, the Greatest Show on Turf. I think there's a documentary out about them. If you guys have the chance, the time, look it up. Torrey Holt, Kurt Warner, Marshall Folk. They are extremely underrated. Like in history, everybody knows or most people knows what the Greatest Show on Turf is, but they don't get the credit they deserve. Watch it. So why
Yep. Oh
basketball
yeah, and
and
shout out. By the way, since you mentioned that, shout out also to I think it was Zachary Levi. Okay.
yeah, yeah,
Also
yeah,
watch
yeah,
American Underdog, which is
yeah, yeah,
a film about Kurt Warner.
yeah.
I'm pretty sure it'll impress you guys. Seriously.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's not a faithful adaptation of his life, but they hit certain points. Going back to the question why basketball and not football, simply because when I was growing up, there's nothing else to play. I grew up in the mid 90s. I was born in 89. So in the mid to late 90s, I was a kid on the streets. I was the type of kid that was never home after school or before school because back then, uh, I'm from Malabon originally, and back then, um, there's so much students that the regular 6 hour class were cut into 4 hour sessions. So there was 6 to 10, 10 to 2, 2 to 6. So depending on what schedule I was on, if I'm not preparing to go to school, I am outside playing basketball, tex, trompo, paway, and every other childhood games that you have heard. I've
Those are
played it
wonderful
all.
memories, brother. Especially Tulumpo and
Wonderful,
Tex. Yeah.
wonderful memories. I love them. But especially text. I love text. But going back to the question, there's simply nothing else. I started playing in a basketball court that was hung on uh, an electric post, a Meralco post, as you do. So every time somebody takes a shot, it moves. Sometimes it falls because it's not it's not there permanently because we're not allowed to. People or the Tanods will chase us around or will chase us out because we can't play. And then there are courts that opened near myself back then. And then it's time to play with the big boys, like in the our barangay's actual court, Golden Dale. Um, that's where I really learned how to play and use my height and my size well, uh, but also do something that in the late 90s, early 2000s, especially for people that are not exposed to the NBA, we don't have cable TV. We barely have any TV. Like a big guy shooting threes, and I shot a lot of threes. I didn't know that was not a thing back then, but I thought I was gonna grow taller, but instead I grew wider. But whatever. At least I don't have the problem of my youngest brother. He's like 6'4". He's struggling to find slippers and shoes. But why basketball and not football? I also did play football. Papa Bear is right. I did spend my high school in Saipan. If you don't know what Saipan is, Google it, people. It's right there. Uh, 670 for life. Um, when I was there, I did have a chance to play football on a pretty high level. Of course, I started. I never knew what football was before 2003. I never did. I was never exposed to it. Again, we don't have cable. The only thing we have is like the local channels and PBA. PBA was great back then. But yeah, no other sports. Maybe boxing here and there, but not really a fan of boxing either. So football, it didn't come naturally to me. Uh, I was recruited by one of the coach in my junior high school days when I was in Saipan because Papa Bear is right again. I I did have I did have the body to play football, and he is again correct, either offensive line or defensive line. So initially I was a fullback, a short down back, just because I can literally bulldoze my way through people. And then they kind of figured out that hey, maybe he's a good blocker. So they shifted me to left tackle, and that's primarily the position I play. I also play special teams. Although I'm way back in the line, I'm more of protecting the punter and the kicker than chasing the receiver or the kick returner or punt returner. I'm sorry if I'm talking jargon. If you don't know what I'm talking about, look it up, people.
Okay, well, just to add some context to what he said, when he said he played left tackle, that's probably one of the hardest positions to play, not only in the offensive line in football, but in football in general. Okay, and
Yeah,
that's also one of the highest paid players in the NFL. If you don't
I
believe
think
me,
they are
well,
the
go,
highest.
yeah, go watch The Blind Side starring Sandra Bullock. All right, that's a good reference point to describe why it's such a very it's such a very high profile position, even though it's a thankless job. Why? Because I also played left tackle, and by that margin,
Oh man,
you have like you have like a really small margin of error. Because if you make a mistake, the most important player in your team is gonna get roughed up. All right, so yeah, watch The Blind Side, starring Sandra Bullock. Good movie. Okay,
I
yeah, but
also play.
I digress. Okay, back to you.
I also play tackle, like nose tackle, defensive tackle. If you are in front of me back in my prime years, and whenever your prime years were, if you were in front of me, you're the left tackle. I'm killing you every play. I am getting a sack every single day. No, every single play. Uh, Simply because I am bigger than you, like taller, wider, and at that time I'm probably faster than you. And as you guys will find out during our episodes, I'm a bit of an asshole. Uh, Yeah, not proud of it, but it's me.
Okay.
Your turn.
All right. Well, since we were Chrissy Papa was right, alluding to our previous history. We've never met, okay, but we actually met as trainers in a BPO, okay, and I'll shout it out. I mean, I'm not scared to tell everybody that it was a wonderful company to work for. Shout out to EMAPTA, all right.
Shout out to Unified.
Yes, Unified. Yeah.
Ashley,
We adore
if
you.
you are
Ashley, go forth.
Ashley
If you're
Goforth, if you're
watching this.
watching, thank you. You are my mentor.
And
Everything
you
you
are
taught me, everything you taught me, I'm still applying to this day. And I'll be applying it for years to come. Thank
yes,
you.
and she was an inspiration to me too, very much so. All right. So, as we met as trainers, okay, would you mind sharing a brief background on your training history and why you decided to be a trainer?
Oh man. Okay. So I'm not gonna name names this time. Papa Bear will name names, whatever. But I did just want to shout out Ashley Goforth because she is my mentor. Um, we only work for a short year and 3 months, 4 months, but I really appreciate everything she taught me. She brought me along into this training journey that I'm in. I started training 2012 ish, 12. Uh, I'm not a trainer officially because the company that I was working for is pretty exploitative, but it's actually it's kind of accepted as a business practice where an agent level person will handle or will SME like the new hires and not get paid extra and still be expected to perform your regular duties with still the quotas that I have. And eventually that led to me handling training, English training, product training, part time, because after each training, I go back to on the phones, answer questions, answer calls, and gets tapped into doing more SME work. At that time, I love it because I thought I was like doing something and it's gonna get me noticed, but uh, kind of learned fast that that's not how it goes. Like hard work is rewarded with more work. So I took a back seat. 2014, I left that company and joined another, uh, doing more calls, and this time for a product or a service that I enjoy quite a lot. And this is where I started my I don't want to say the industry, but I did get, yeah, four licenses. Eventually I got a fifth one a few years down the line. I'll talk about it some other time. But yes, working for this company made me realize that hey, um maybe training or getting promoted is not for me, because one second, because I see people get promoted and by duties only. I was being asked to do TL duties while receiving an agent's salary, and back then my basic was 14K in 2014.
It's
uh
2014, 14. Okay.
yeah, boy. But the allowance is good, it's 9K. So the technical or complexity allowance is like 5,000 right off the bat. But yeah, it's insane that people gets rewarded with more work. So I kind of said like, nope, not for me. Uh, and I was pirated twice by companies where I didn't have to go through the um, regular hiring process. I was directly interviewed by whoever's whoever's in charge. Like I'm not talking about any TLs, I'm not talking about any SMEs or HR hiring managers. I'm talking about like directors, OMs. Uh, yeah, usually directors actually. No, I was never interviewed by an OM. I was always interviewed by. I was interviewed by a VP once. But yeah, I didn't take any um exams or what do you call it? Assessments. I never took any of that during these times from 2014 to 2018. I mostly worked for banks and financial institutions. So 2018 December, I finally had enough. I said, no mas, no more. It's a, I admit it is a very, very good earning job. In terms of money, you get your basic, especially at that time, is good. And the commissions that you make, even if you're not getting the full commission, because you have to share it with somebody in the States or in Canada, because they have the license. You have the license, but you're not technically in US or Canada soil. So you get a partial commission, but still over like a quarter, that adds up to a lot. But still, uh, no longer worth it to me. So I quit that whole industry. I was thinking of shifting to a teacher role, like an actual teacher, like ser teacher. And I had a great opportunity. I worked for one of the biggest no biggest schools here in the Philippines. It's color blue, and it's not who you think. It's not Big Four, but at least it's top 10 in the NCAA
Ah, there
basketball.
you go.
But but still, uh, and they have a Malabon branch or Malabon site, whatever you want to call it. It's newly opened. When I was there, it's literally still being built, or some of the buildings are still being built. So I had the chance to uh, substitute for for a teacher that's giving birth. So I was there for 6, 7, 8 weeks. Yeah, something like that. And then it it's gratifying. It really is. It's just that my monthly salary, it's not even like one cut off from my previous job. Although the commute is like doable, it's like maybe 10 kilometers away from me. One ride. No, it's like 4 kilometers away from me. Uh, yeah, it's one ride. It's just financially, it's not gonna. I'm not gonna survive. So I opted to go back into the BPO world, and this time I found a company that um, is primarily working from home. I was the very first employee that this small BPO ever hired. Uh, I was the third person in the company, if you believe it. Uh, the owners are a married couple, so they're employee one and number two. I'm employee three. I'm literally the first employee that they hired. And then the client is also a startup. With that client, I was employee number 12. Like I my employee number is 00012. And then I took calls for a brief period of time for the rest of 2019. And then I was approached if I wanted to conquer more. That's the exact term of my manager back then. Uh, she literally asked if I wanted to tackle more. And I said, sure. It's a different culture because I was the one who was setting the culture. And that opportunity was very enticing to me. So I told myself I'm never gonna get promoted, or I'm not gonna take on any jobs that are like that. I ended up saying yes to it because the culture is not toxic. I was the person who was setting the culture up. At that point, we have 11 other agents here in the Philippines and several in the US. So I was the TL QA trainer for everyone. Um, and I was also the operations manager because everything that's operations related goes through me. Every decision that they want to do would have to be signed off by me first before it's being sent off somewhere else, to my boss probably. Um,
Mm,
and that's how I was a trainer for a good amount of time. Uh,
there
and
you
then
go.
came a MAPTA days. So I was hired as a trainer there, training coordinator with Papa Bear, um, and we were the first trainers in the company, right? Aside from our boss, the aforementioned Miss Goforth, uh, who is of course amazing, but she was the training director, and we were her one and two, her left and right hand. So she gave us projects and we work on them. We did trainings. Funny because it's not until like how long, bro? A year after you were hired that you were given like the
An
opportunity
actual
to train.
training, yeah, which was a long time coming.
Funny. It's funny because he is such a better trainer than I am because he has a lot more experience and he's just better. I'm man enough to admit that, and I look up to him when it comes to training. Uh, but I was given the opportunity to do the training first. I did several trainings, and then Papa Bear started his journey, training everyone. He did a great job. He did such a good job. Everybody hated him, but that's another story for another time. It's already in the can. It's coming out, baby. So, and then one thing led to another. I left that company and started working for my company. Funnily enough, I'm the only actual trainer in this company. My boss is not a trainer. Um, she is a project director. So she approached things as a project manager, project director do. And sometimes that conflicts with what training should be. So uh, there are conflicts in our approaches, but in the end, we just both wanted what's the best for the project that we're working on. Uh, and I never thought I will end up anywhere near accounting, but here I am, and that is my trainer journey. Papa Bear,
All right.
regale us with your trainer journey.
Okay. My journey as a trainer began when I was really young, when I was 14 years old. Because back then, I was actually asked by an old swimming coach if I wanted to be a swimming coach in my high school, which is Lourdes School of Mandaluyong over at Shaw Boulevard. Shout out to
Rich
LSM
kid,
peeps.
rich kid, rich
No,
kid.
no, back then it wasn't.
I was a public school boy from elementary all the way to well high school. College I went to SDI, but
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah. Okay. So I was uh I was uh I was an English sorry, I was a swimming coach for 2.5 years. Well, 2.5 summers. Okay, and that in that time I became very comfortable. Um, at 14 years old, very comfortable talking to people who were older than me. All right, I actually trained. I was a coach for kids as young as 9 months old. Believe it or not. Okay, they can't even talk, and I was already holding them in my hand, just getting them comfortable in the water. I taught teenagers, toddlers. I coached professionals, adults, and even senior citizens who wanted to learn how to swim, and it was wonderful. That bled into college when in my college days I was actually asked. Well, everybody in the cheering squad back then in college trained everybody else. So I was part of that, but I also trained faculty members for 2 straight years in their faculty cheering competition in school. And they both won both years, by the way. So I was really proud of that. Uh, Moving forward, when I was in the BPO, I was an agent for 2 years, and then I was asked, and then they had openings for English coaches. So I applied, and in the end, I got accepted with three other individuals, and it all started from there. That was 2006, and then I was promoted to an English specialist by 2010, 2011. At that time, I was weaned off training because I was more managing at that point, although I did find time for training. And that lasted up until I left Sykes in 2018. Um, I spent a good 14 years there. 12 of those years were training, okay, as a trainer and as a training supervisor. I went back to being an agent, and then I went and I met Crispy Papa in IMAPTA. We became trainers again, like you mentioned. Again, shout out to Ashley Goforth. I spent a good year there before I trained, and at that time it was I was like doing a lot of admin work, but it was still fun work, and that at that time it was just very rewarding. Much as I can say from my time in Sykes, it was very rewarding. I learned a lot. Okay, with Ashley though, I actually learned a little bit more, not about my skill set, but about myself. So when that came to a head, maybe I'll talk about it some other time. I just I had to find work, other work from home jobs, and it's really difficult to find work from home jobs as a trainer. So I actually ended up being virtual assistant up until like last January, when they suddenly fired me for no real reason. I don't know what happened. Anyway, um, so and that doesn't just end my training capabilities, because even then during COVID and at separate times in my career, I would have friends or family members call me up and say, "Hey, can you teach me some English so I can enter a call center?" And I said, "No, I can't do that. All right, but I can teach you how to pass an interview, which is the very first step." And training English or training language has been very crucial in my development. But not only that, I it's not because it's not just about language. It's about training somebody's confidence, training somebody how to respond appropriately with the right touch of professionalism and casual talk. Yeah, that's very enjoyable. Because training someone how to converse is it's not that difficult. It just takes a lot of patience. It's always fun having to talk with someone, especially from different walks of life. So that's what I particularly enjoy. I did that during COVID when I couldn't go anywhere. I did that for several friends, just talk to them about, hey, this is what you do in an interview. Somebody asks you this question, what are you going to answer? Then I would coach them on their responses. Sometimes I would coach them on their grammar and their pronunciation. So uh, in that regard, I was just really happy, and it kept me afloat. I mean, it's keeping me afloat still. I actually try to help as many people as I can. Anybody who wants to learn how to pass an interview, that's the very basic thing I can do for you. Oh, by the way, hit me up or him or Chrissy Papa if you want some tips on how to pass call center interviews. It's not as hard as you may think, right? But yeah, essentially, being a trainer has been in my blood ever since I was young. Because believe it or not, I wouldn't say that I was a fitness freak in my mid 30s. which is where Chrissy Papa is in his life right now. I wasn't that much of a fitness freak, but I worked out a lot, and I was even really weirded out when I was asked to train my teammates when I was playing with the cavemen, the Makati cavemen, back then in 2017. I was asked to train some of the peeps, and I was even made a captain, which was unheard of, but I welcomed it. I enjoyed it. It's almost everything about training is something I love. I mean, obviously, right now I'm not, doing a lot of those things since I can't walk anymore. But those were wonderful times, and yeah, training has been very essential to my development. And I think I'm not sure if Chrissy Papa will agree with this, but the the one thing that I treasure about being a trainer, or my measure of success, is not how good I am as a trainer, but rather when I see people I've trained, like before core skills, after core skills, additional support training, is when I see the people I've trained get promoted over and over and over again, and that makes me really happy. I mean, I've trained people who were actually doubting themselves that they can even be an agent. And suddenly I see this lady being like an executive VP of a company. And then another one who is in Google right now, one of the directors, or like several team leaders, several account managers. Those guys all went through me. And I take certain pride in that, much like teachers take pride in their students who have moved up after school. So my measure of success is in regard to the pride I take in knowing that I was able to make a difference in someone else's life where they moved up, became better versions of themselves, and just grew to be wonderful, amazing people.
I completely agree. Uh, Seeing people that I've trained move up, not just in the corporate world, but in life, totally amazing. Um, Nothing compares to the feeling, if I'm being honest with you. Uh, and that's one of those, I like to call it non-taxable income, or not exactly income, but non-taxable thing that I get from training. And they can't tax my feelings. Uh,
Yeah,
I I
indeedy,
am I
indeedy do.
am I am very pissed about the amount I have to pay uh for my taxes. Like my taxes, like, and all of my contribution is already my basic pay 10 years ago, and maybe it's even more. It's stupid. It's dumb. I hate it, but whatever.
Yeah, this
Let's
just
move
goes to
on to
show you
your.
how this just goes to show you the variety that I'm talking about in regard to Chrissy Papa's allusions to certain scenarios.
Oh my
Okay,
goodness,
as
y'all are
much
gonna see
as
it.
much as I respect this dude, you can see why he's an asshole.
Dude, I
But
am being very good tonight. Like, I'm talking like behave as behave. I am being very amiable tonight. Believe it or not. All right.
okay, there you
Uh,
go.
you have one last question for me.
No, it's your turn to ask.
Oh, it's my turn to ask.
Yeah, that was my question.
Okay. So, I'm sure you guys don't know yet, or the people that doesn't know us don't know yet. But we are large Harry Potter geeks.
Huge Harry Potter geeks, and
Oh my goodness.
we're not talking about the fandom. We're talking about the fact that we're literally large people.
Yeah, we're large people. But yes, in this case, kind of also the fandom itself. Um, we are, in fact, we are such a fan. we created another channel, and
Oh
it's
yeah,
live now.
which we
Yeah,
will
in the
post in the
description.
comment section. Okay. Why don't before you ask that question, why don't you give a shout out and as to what that channel is all about, brother?
Absolutely. I want to give a shout out to one of the. There's a lot of good writers out there, but this person, I don't know if it's a girl, guy, or whatever. Deadwood Pecker. Oh my gosh! All of your AU or alternate universe stories or fan fictions are like insane. They're good. And I'm not a fan of AUs. That's the thing. I'm not even a fan of your genre, your niche, but you're like my favorite. Well, you're my second favorite. I'll talk about the other one a bit later. But my gosh, your your story, Backward with Purpose, part 1, always and always, that is my absolute single favorite story outside or in the fan fiction world. You have a part 2, Book of Albus, which I will be working on, or we will be working on, completing sometime this year, maybe. But we have a lot of episodes in the can. We have 66 episodes right now, um, just waiting for me to upload them. And we are uploading every Saturday at 8 p.m. starting March 1, 2025. Again, the channel will be linked in the description and in the comments. The channel's name is Compendium Library, and I will let Papa Bear explain what Compendium Library is. Um, but yes, so the fandom. What I'll ask several questions here. What made you a fan, and what is your house, and what is your wand, and what is your Patronus?
Okay.
You'll be surprised by my Patronus.
That's a lot. Okay. But yes, thank you. What made me a fan? Uh, I really don't think it's any one thing about Harry Potter, but the entirety. When I picked it up, I just loved the story. As a fan of fantasy back then, and fiction. I mean, I'm talking about classic literary works. I'm a huge fan of Le Morte d'Arthur, which is King Arthur and his knights, obviously. I love mythology, Greek, Norse, Egyptian, South African, Asian mythology, Chinese, Japanese. I'm a huge fan of those. So in retrospect, since I'm also a huge fan of Narnia, C.S. Lewis, and Tolkien, I think that it was just natural for me to be a fan of Harry Potter, right? But it was something that I honestly could relate to because it brought out the kid in me again. I didn't start reading Harry Potter until I was 19, all right? And at that time, I found myself becoming an 11-year-old, and it was just wonderful to behold. I was such a huge fan that uh, Harry Potter helped me graduate. When I say that, I mean that literally. My bachelor's thesis, if you want to search it, is entitled Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone and the Other. All right. You can search it on the web. Just type in Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone and the Other. Bachelor's thesis. So I think that was the second thesis that was made about Harry Potter, and the first thesis about Harry Potter book one in my school's history. So I'm that huge of a fan. Um, my house is Hufflepuff. My wand is my wand is 10.5 inches, made of ebony, and the core is unicorn tail hair. And my Patronus, well, weirdly enough, is actually a bear. Yes, and it's not it's it's not the regular bear. Okay, you may think it's like a grizzly, a polar bear. No, it's actually it's actually what people call a bear cat. which is not even a bear in itself. The name alludes to a native animal in the Philippines. Okay, which in our parlance, the Filipino name is bintolong. Okay, it's a bear cat, but it's actually more closely related to marmosets and to honey badgers and wolverines. It's mostly related to those, but the name is bear cat. It's like when you say the red panda, it's not actually a panda, but it's like a small fox-like cat creature. So yes, my patronus is a bintolong or a bear cat. Yeah, you didn't expect that, did you? Yeah. So, yes, moving on to you, I'd like to know, okay, what about Harry Potter? Tickled your fancy, your house, which I already know, but the people here don't. Your wand, as well as your Patronus.
All right. So, in 2003, around April, second week of April, which means it is my first week in Saipan. As you can imagine, I was a lonely 13-year-old, almost 14-year-old. I am homesick. I miss my mom. I am crying every night. I want to go back to the Philippines. I can't do this. And then, in my room at that time was the library of the house. They have a collection of around 50 books. And one of the books is Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. I know what Harry Potter is. I was not a fan. I did not like it. I dismissed it as childish. Ooh. So, because you need to be tough. You need to be cool. Harry Potter. Eh. So my bored ass opened the book and read it. I was in chapter two when I closed the book down and I asked my grandmother and my tita the next day, where is part one and two? So they showed it to me, and I read that first book. I read the second book. I read the third book in like 3 days. It's insane how addicted I was. And if I'm not mistaken, that same year, like September, October, the fourth book came out, and you bet your ass, I was there to read it again. And then the fifth book came, and then the sixth book, and then the seventh book. I was just enamored with it all. Um, I'm not a fan, or I was not a fan of mythology when I was younger, but I am a fan now. I guess I don't know. I don't know if you call it like mythology, but I'm a fan of Percy Jackson. I have it. Matter of fact, why don't I show it to you? Here are my fandoms
My
and
God,
the
there you go.
loves. So I am a big gigantic wrestling fan. So it's here. And if you can see my chop suey of a tattoo, this is like uh, a wreath, same as the on the other side. And here in the middle is the Saipan Stonehenge. Uh,
Oh, sweet.
so this part and this part is part of Saipan's flag, which I'm very proud of that I get to experience their culture. I met a lot of wonderful people there. And then if you can see here, this wand is a play on this wand. This is the Elder
That's the
Wand.
elder one.
It is indeed. And I have the Elder Wand tattooed here simply because I'm a fan of Dumbledore. Dumbledore bashing is not cool. Badass Dumbledore. Anyway, you can see another one here. It's the Trident of Poseidon. And there's a
Nice.
star right in the middle. I don't know if you can tell, it's not yellow, it's orange. And that's for, Dragon Ball,
Oh, there you go.
and that's
Nice.
that's my fandom. Um, when it comes to my house, I did this when Pottermore was still a thing, and it's not the Wizarding World yet. Um, I was a Slytherin, and I'm very proud of my Slytherin heritage. Although recently, like maybe a month ago, I did it again, and I'm now a Gryffindor. What the heck? I feel like Tom what? Who's Draco? Tom Felton.
Tom Felton, yeah.
Yeah, I felt like Tom Felton. He recently, or I don't know, maybe a few years ago, he did the Wizarding World thing, and it came out that he's a Gryffindor and he's disgusted with himself. By the way, I love that guy. I love that guy. That guy is like the biggest Harry Potter stan of them all, or of us all. But yeah, my wand is 14 inches. Uh, you
Oh God. Okay. If you know why he's laughing, you is the same wandwood that was Lord Voldemort's, and you, by the way, is a tree that you can find on that is mostly found on graveyard cemeteries or graves.
you like my wand? Like this wand?
No,
This is Voldemort's
I
wand.
particularly don't. I don't. Not really.
I know, I know, I know. But yeah, and then my Patronus. I'd like you to guess what my Patronus is, bro.
A panda.
It is not. It is a lynx.
Oh, there you go. Much like
Yeah,
Kingsley Shacklebolts.
it's exactly like Kingsley Shacklebolt. It's weird. I don't know why it's a lynx. I always thought that I'd be a hippo, but I digress.
Okay.
That is my Harry Potter fandom.
Right. Well, thank you so much. That was a very interesting question. And I think at this time, I don't know if we've shared too much or too little, but if anybody
I
wants
think we
to,
shared enough.
yeah, I think, but if anybody wants to comment or ask questions, go ahead. If we have time, well, if I have time, which I have a lot at this moment, I'll try to answer them. He's still working. I'm still unemployed. So,
And guys, just pull in your questions here. We will eventually do an AMA, Ask Me Anything. So we will pull questions from the comment sections of all of our videos, and we will answer them as detailed as you can possibly get. Because as you can tell, me and him, we flap our gums a lot. This is literally what we do for a living. And we like to explain things step by step in great detail because that's what you do as trainers.
okay, yes. Just to be clear, we will try to answer as many of your questions as possible. I'm pretty sure we can't answer them all.
Right.
However, there are some things that we are experts at, much like in the experience of working in the BPO and in other facets of life that we know a lot about. All right, but we don't know everything. Okay, like you can ask me for training tips. You can talk to me about literature. You can talk to me about some other stuff, some other fandom type stuff. Okay, like mythology, etc. Books, some comic books. I'm fine. All right. And if I can pass it over to Chrissy Papa, who actually he says that I'm actually a better trainer than him. I think in a way I'm a better language trainer, and since I have more experience, I'm actually better at engaging with people. But he actually has several licenses, and he can actually talk to you about specific specific items that would
No, no, not
require
specific.
certain expertise or a lot.
Nope,
Okay,
no,
he knows a lot
because
about he's a very good reference when it comes to numbers,
yeah,
and he does have experience when it comes to and well, actually both of us have experience when it comes to employee grievances, but he knows a lot more about it than I do. Okay, so you can talk
yeah.
to us about that grievances you may have because we've gone through possibly like almost everything that can go wrong in a call center. Okay, and we can give you advice on how to navigate through those murky waters. So yeah, we're not total experts at everything, but we can try to help. If we don't know the answer, we can either point you to a direction, or we can help you out by searching for those answers for you. Okay?
I also just want to reiterate, uh, one of my, I don't know, my it's something that I believe a lot, and that's employee rights. So if you feel like a company is doing something shady to you, ask that question. Uh, I'm gonna answer your question as vaguely as possible, like during the AMA sessions. But if you are interested or if you have any questions, let's connect somewhere else, and I'll give you detailed um, help. I may not know the actual answer because I only know the answers that I already went through. But if I don't know it, I know somebody who can tell you, and that's
There you go.
usually Google.
And I'm gonna take this opportunity to shamelessly plug in my own YouTube channel, which is where I write songs and I write lyrics. I'm an amateur songwriter, and I let
Yeah.
AI generate music and the vocals. And there are actually two songs there that's about this dude. Okay.
Oh,
Um
I love those songs,
I
by the
just
way, bro.
I
Like,
won't
oh my
say
god.
I won't say enough, but if you're interested, I'll just post the link of those two songs about Crispy Papa in the comment section. But I
No,
think
just put it in the description, man.
I'll
It
put it in
should
the
be in the
description.
description
Okay.
and in the comment. Pin it as well.
Okay,
So
I'll
we're
pin
we're
that.
gonna do all of that. But it's great talking to you as always, bro.
Yeah.
And we will do it again next week.
Yep. Thank you so
And
much. And we'll be posting, again, this is a retroactive introduction. We'll be posting our previously recorded sessions all throughout the month of March and moving forward. Okay, so just tune in anytime you have, some time in your hands, or if you just want to listen to two bad guys talking in the background about absolutely nothing and everything. Yeah, just keep us in your
and
ears. This is not like a radio show, though. We're not gonna sing or
no,
anything, but yeah.
no. That's totally not us. Uh, Also, I'd like to remind everyone the Compendium Library channel is up. Part one of Backward with Purpose is already up. Thank you and shout out again to Dead Woodpecker, and it's already up. The channel will be linked in the description and in the comments. Other than that, guys, like, share, and subscribe. We are that people now. Thank you very much for letting us vent and having an outlet for our creatives. Having said that, thank you very much, everyone. I will see you next week.
I'll be seeing you with him later.
Wait, send ba to?
Oh, yeah.